Check, check, check. All right, greetings. It's a pretty rainy and overcast day here in Virginia, and it's a good day to hang out with some new software. Today we're taking a look at the TimewARP 2600, warp with a capital ARP 2600. So we're looking at the new and revised and updated emulator of the ARP 2600, the legendary and iconic synthesizer that was originally invented by Alan R. Perlman. This emulator originally came out in 2006 and it's been around for a while. I personally have never used it, so this is new to me. And I've personally never used a physical hardware 2600. So this has been a great introduction to the 2600. And today we're just hanging out with it. I'm gonna go through some of the presets. We'll talk about some of the features, maybe some things that, you know, are not as desirable. Yeah, kind of mess around with it and see if we can make some music with it. I gotta make sure I got my coffee. Here we go. Perfect. So like I said before, this instrument is new to me. I actually have been kind of diving into the manual, the original manual for the ARP 2600, which is available online. And I gotta say that this owner's manual is not just an owner's manual for the 2600, it's like an owner's manual for synthesizer owners. I mean, this is a dissertation on synthesis. So anybody who is interested in synthesis, this is a must read. I'm surprised it's taken me this long to even look at it, so slightly embarrassed about that. Here it is. It's pretty good looking right off the bat. The reason why I say that is I'll show you in just a second. So the 2600 was famous for its normalized connections, the way everything was connected, and its slider interface. So it's really one of the first semi-modular synthesizers. And you know, anybody who watches my channel knows that I love Moog stuff. And I can see now that the matriarch might be highly inspired by this synthesizer in particular. I think they have a lot of similarities. This one is definitely more complex and I'm still wrapping my head around it, so all you seasoned 2600 users, apologies while I fumble through it. I think the first thing we'll talk about is some of these basic things here at the top. So we have, over here on the right, we have a settings menu. They have different themes for the different layouts of the 2600. So I personally like this one, the gray Mini. I think it looks pretty cool. There's the black and orange, which a lot of people know this instrument as. And then there's the blue Marvin, which is very blue. And then there is this one. So this is why I say it looks good, because this is the original interface for this emulator. And I gotta say, just looking at this gives me anxiety. This reminds me of, you know, 2000, late 90s, early 2000s, trying to figure out how to make software work on my computer, and it just never quite worked the way I wanted it to. So let's go back to the gray Mini. Yeah, there we go. Back to settings, we have this MIDI map. I guess you can set your own MIDI map here. The tuning, there's various tunings. Right now it's equal temperament. There's a MIDI beat synchronization to synchronize with the internal clock and the keyboard LFO. We have volume, MIDI, connection, the computer load, the amount of voices. So the original ARP 2600 was monophonic, so this is an advantage for the software, of course. And then here we have sort of your preset menu, quick menu here at the top. There's this little floppy drive. It's like a little 5.5-inch floppy. If you click that, then you can save a patch. We'll go over that too, which is really easy. So it looks like this is separated by the artist who designed the patch. This is a sort of a broader category of the patches, and then the specific patches over here. So over here we have a few artists, and actually I went through a lot of these and looked up a lot of these folks. I know some of these folks. These patches are designed by folks who really know how to design patches. And I looked at the previous version of this software, And a lot of these names are familiar from the previous version, but a noticeable new addition is Lisa Bella Donna. And she has done a lot of patches. There's a lot of patches on here from her, and they are awesome. We'll go through some of those. And then there's this, which is another menu for the patches. I think this is just laid out a little bit more open, so you can kind of see. You don't have to click through each menu. And yeah, that's about all. And then the rest of it is just the synthesizer itself. Let's start with these Lisa Bella Donna patches. I'll just play through some and see what we have going on here. Yeah, the 2600, to me, the sound of it is, the coolest part about it is that it sounds throaty and kind of aggressive, but it never is harsh. I mean, you can make it harsh, of course, but the sounds have like a hollowness to them, which is super desirable for me. I'll just scroll through some more of these. Yeah. Cool. There's so many. I mean, those three at the top already sound great. There is one here that I found that I really like, this warm polyphonic, and I use this. I'll show you guys something I did with this here in a second. Yeah, we'll come back to that. If we go through some of these names like Bruce McPherson, this one actually has, here's the categories. So we have different categories of sounds, so we can look at some leads. Yeah. Cool. So I'm not going to go over how the 2600 works. There's a lot there. I'm still learning it. There's plenty of videos and manuals about how this thing works. The Richard Devine patches are just what you would think from Richard Devine. Like, they go right away. Woo! They don't even have to do anything. They just do their own thing. Crazy. Let's check out some basses from Howard Scar. Yeah, trom bass. Yeah, drum bass. Nailed it. Suspense drone. Let's do one more. Let's do Houston Singletary. Fooling the Foolish lead. Okay. Woo! There we go. Clock's lead. Oh, also, if you notice when you load these, there are notes here at the bottom, which is kind of nice. Yeah. So one thing I wanted to point out too is, like any VST, it's easy to map MIDI to the sliders. One thing about software that I always have a little problem with is I like to be very hands-on, and I usually want to grab multiple things at the same time, which is very difficult with VSTs. The way around that is to assign, MIDI knobs to different things, but there's just so many sliders and things you can alter here that I would need basically a case that looks like that to map everything to it. Sometimes what you can do is just assign some choice knobs. So if I wanted to in Ableton, basically you just click on MIDI at the top here, and then I can just point to like a slider here and then move a knob, and it'll assign it to that knob. So now I should have control of those sliders, twisting these knobs that I just did. Yes. So these three knobs on my Launch Key Mini now control the VCOs that are going into the filter. So now I can easily grab them and turn them down and turn them up. So assigning MIDI, not a problem, easy peasy. Also, you can change the scale of this. It's a little bit of a bummer that I can't pull it down here at the bottom. You have to go up to the top and then go to the scale menu. So you can make it bigger, smaller. I tend to keep it big only because I like to see things, you know? Making it real big here. Yeah, I don't need it that big. I can go back down. There we go. I'm gonna load up the set that I have here. So I made this track. It only uses the ARP 2600. I'm using some different sounds from some different presets that I modified a little bit. So here we go. So being that it's polyphonic, I can actually play along with it too. Let's try tweaking some stuff here. The spring reverb over here on the right is interesting. Sometimes it's pretty amazing, sometimes it's a little intense. Let's have the envelope mess with the oscillator a little bit. This is bringing in the oscillator 1, which is now modulating the second oscillator. So as you can see, the range on this instrument is pretty wide. I've had a lot of fun using it. You know, I think it's more designed for, of course, studio use. I probably would have trouble using it on a live performance, but most software like this I think is not designed for a live performance. So yeah, I've really been enjoying it. I look forward to putting it into some of the stuff I work on here in the future. There might be a couple small negatives here. One is I wish the scaling could be something where I could just pull the window from the bottom and it would get bigger and resize. I wish you could search for presets in the preset menu. Yeah, but other than that, I've been having a lot of fun. This software too is the only VST or plugin emulator that was originally endorsed by Alan R. Perlman, the inventor of the ARP 2600. So that's saying something. So yeah, see you around. Have fun.